Hey guys, welcome back to Dwood. I'm David Stoller. Today's video is going to be a little different than normal. As many of you know, I'm a law enforcement officer full-time, and I was asked by my sheriff to build a set of memorial boxes for an awesome lieutenant that we had that passed away recently due to cancer. This is a memorial build video dedicated to his memory. Goon, we love you and miss you.
Hey Goon, it's your little buddy Scott. It's been many years since the first time we met in Maggie when you was riding in a patrol car, and the enthusiasm you and Victor had, and time has flew since then. We've missed you, and you've been a blessing to everybody that you've come in contact with throughout your years here, and especially your friends. You're always in our thoughts, and we appreciate everything that you contributed while you was on this great earth of ours, and we're looking forward to the day to be there with you. There's not a day that goes by that you're not in our thoughts. There's not a day that goes by that you've not influenced somebody, whether it be in the law enforcement world or in the community or in basic law enforcement training, or the kids that you had such a great connection with in the valley. We miss you. You're always in our thoughts, and we'll be there to see you one day. Love you always, Scott.
One of my fondest memories of Goon was the first day he was sergeant, and we were involved in a shooting in the Dwood area, and we both were hiding, taking cover underneath a car, my Taurus, and believe it or not, he was able to hide completely under the car and not be seen. But the day that took place, he told me he loved me, and we were there looking at each other like we were scared cats, and we knew everything was okay once the sheriff he ran across the yard and waved and told us to come on, and he and I went to the door and took care of business. But one of the biggest things that day that I knew, him being my supervisor, that he would always take care of me, and I try to take care of the guys that are working for me now. But Goon, I love you. I'll never forget you.
Hey, baby Goon. I just wanted to tell you I love you and I miss you. We have been friends and brothers since we're 16. We've had a lot of good times and some not so good, but we all done it together. You have always been there for me no matter what. You always had a pure heart and soul. You always treated everyone with kindness and compassion. The world is a little less with you not in it, but you have no more pain, no more worries up there in heaven. But hopefully I will see you someday. Until then, love you, and I will see you later, little buddy.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone and tell you what an honor it is for me to speak about Michael Price. One of my dearest friends in the world. I will always and forever miss his gentle voice and his calming demeanor. He had that effect on everyone, you see. Mike was a caregiver in a world that needed a lot of care. And I can promise you, he did his part and far more. I wish him to be peaceful, and that I may myself see him again one day, and we can get caught up on all the things we used to do and all the fun we used to have, and several of the good things we did to help a few people out along the way. I bid you peace, my friend.
I have many memories of Goon. It started back whenever that I was a trooper working here in Haywood County, and he would come out and back me up and vice versa. And I just remember how big this young man was and what he brought to the table whenever that he showed up. Everybody else seemed to always find some way to be quiet because they knew what would happen if they didn't. And then, of course, I ended up coming up here to be the sheriff, and I learned to appreciate that he probably cared more about the people that he worked with than just about anybody that I've ever worked with in my life. He was an amazing man to always put others ahead of himself. That's probably what I'll think most about Goon. He just was one of those guys who had a servant's heart, who always was looking out for the people that he worked with and the people that worked for him. And for that, I will always be thankful, simply because that's the kind of man that you want to work with and that you want to work for, to have a guy like him.
One of my favorite memories of Goon was when I got hired on to the sheriff's office, and he was my field training officer. He'd come one of those large snows, and we were driving around in one of the old military blazers that the sheriff's office used to own. Goon was driving me up through Maggie Valley. The state had come through, scraped the roads, and the snow was piled up along the edges of the road. I heard Goon start laughing. I looked over at Goon, looked back out the windshield, seen our blazer just veer a little bit to the right. All of a sudden, a large wall of slush and water covered a man walking down the sidewalk. Goon just continued to drive and chuckle. I love you, Goon. I miss you, and I hope to see you soon.
What can I say about Goon? He was probably the best lieutenant I ever had, an even better friend. I miss him every day. He always had my back, always could make me laugh, no matter what. A good story I can tell about him is these fraud cases we would always get from people calling these older people in from Jamaica, and we would get their phone number at the end of the day, and Goon would call these Jamaican people and play pranks on them, and it would always make us have a good end of the day with a good laugh, no matter how hard the day was. But like I said, I miss him a lot, and he was probably the best lieutenant I ever had. And
Mike Price. For those of you that never got to meet him, I'm sorry. You really missed out on a great man. A man with morals, a man of great strength, a man of great faith, a great husband, great teacher, just all around a great man. If you looked at him in stature and size, he was intimidating to some people until he opened his mouth. When he opened his mouth, all that you saw was a big kid. That's all he was a big kid with a great big heart. He was there for everyone, loved everyone, and only saw the good in people. It's a very rare quality today. My brother, we miss you. Can't wait till the day we see you again. Love you, my friend.
Goon was a larger-than-life figure, both literally and figuratively. I looked up to him as a law enforcement officer. I looked up to him as an instructor when I was in school. I looked up to him as a supervisor. I looked up to him as a man. He taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about this profession, about how to survive this career. He taught me a lot about life, a lot of life lessons. I never met a kid that didn't like Goon. I feel privileged to have got to work with him as much as I did and to be his friend. I feel privileged to have known him. I just don't know what to say. There's only one Mike Price. I'll never forget him. I hope to see him again one day.
Hey, Goon. I know before you passed away, I talked to you and told you that I'd be talking to you. Well, this time other people are listening, and I just wanted to tell you I'm so thankful that God brought you into my life, and I'm so glad that you got saved and so I can see you again. And you're the love of my life, and I'll always love you. And I'll be talking to you again. But everybody else won't be listening. I love you, and I miss you every day.